Hallo, da sind wir wieder und wir sitzen hier mit dem Brian von Obsidian und der hat uns sein neuestes Spiel mitgebracht. Wer Obsidian kennt, der weiß, die haben zuletzt Pillars of Eternity gemacht. Das ist dieses Baldur's Gate-artige Spiel. Die haben so ein bisschen diese Art von Spiel wieder zurückgebracht. So Brian, can you introduce yourself? What's your job?
I'm Brian Heins. I'm the game director of Tyranny.
Mhm. Genau, sein neuestes Spiel Tyranny und ich habe mir den Nils noch dazu geholt.
Hi! I'm still here.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about Tyranny and how is it to compare to Pillars of Eternity?
Tyranny is a game that's based on the same engine as Pillars of Eternity. Mm-hmm. So it's the same isometric party style as Pillars. The main difference for the game is that it's a brand new world, brand new IP. The idea being that it's a world where evil has won. The evil overlord has conquered the known world, and you were part of the conquering army. And not only were you a member of the army, you were one of their leaders. So you begin the game on the side of evil and responsible for a lot of the death and destruction that has happened over the course of the Overlord's conquest. And then it's up to you to decide, do you remain on the side of evil, or do you choose to try and rebel against the evil Overlord and try and take a better path? Mm-hmm. And personally, I find the evil path a lot more fun, but other players have other options.
Does the storyline change if you choose to play evil, then I mean the good faction has conquered the world, so you have to take it back. And if you choose to play for the good faction, then you have to fight the evil again.
Basically, we designed Tyranny to be a game that you can play multiple times. So there are actually 4 very distinct storylines in the game based on the choices you make. And within those storylines, there are actually a lot of different permutations and choices. So there's a lot of different paths through the game, but there are at least 4 major different ways you can approach the game. And each one gives you different quests, different conversations, different NPCs you can interact with. So it is actually a very different experience depending on how you play the game.
Okay. So is there some kind of front line that you can move by fulfilling quests, or like this village, for instance, that we do see on the screen now? Maybe we can show it for our audience as well. Mm-hmm. This is a village, and if you play evil and you've conquered this village for the evil faction, maybe then you can get better prices, or maybe you can't enter a village if it's belonging to the wrong faction, something like that.
The village we're seeing right now, it's actually, depending on choices you make during character creation, it's actually being conquered by different forces entirely. So when you go to this area, it will actually be under control by very different factions based on choices you've made. And then that's either going to be a peaceful area where you can go and trade and barter and buy and sell things, pick up quests, or it's a combat zone because you have to defeat your enemies based on who's in control. So one of the ideas we have for the game is that different areas change dramatically based on the choices that you make. So one playthrough, you'll see a different area presenting very differently based on those decisions you've made.
Okay, we can start the gameplay if you want.
Okay.
You can talk a little bit about what we see right now.
So we're seeing an area that's we call Lethian's Crossing. It's one of our major trading hubs in the area. And again, as I just mentioned, it's what we're seeing here is it actually being occupied by a group called the Scarlet Chorus. That's one of the enemy factions in the game. But based on choices you've made, it could be controlled by very different areas. This is showing another area of the game that's actually toward the very beginning of the game, one of the first areas you see. This is the statue of the Weeping Queen. Basically, it used to be this monument of virtue and nobility, and then when Kairos' forces conquered, the waterfall that came out of her eyes, the tears, turned to blood, basically weeping for the blood of all the people who died as part of the conquest. And just showing some examples of the choice and dialogue you have in the game. We've got different options that are based off of skills of your character, giving you.
Are there so much choices like in Pillars of Eternity in the dialogue? Or
Yes.
Is it, okay.
Yeah, basically you have a lot of different choices for how you approach every conversation, and we're a skill-based game rather than Pillars, which was class-based. So we've added a lot of skills into conversations. So you can use your skills to actually modify conversations, and in a lot of cases you can use those before combat to weaken your enemies or cause them to run away and flee in terror from you. So those skills can play out both in conversations and in gameplay, which we're seeing a little bit here. We've got a couple of our party members engaged in combat with some enemies. These are the Venturing Guard, a group that's rebelling against Kairos' forces. So combat is real-time with pause. So you can pause the game, issue orders to your companions, and then unpause to see them play out. Or you can just play in real time, issuing orders as you go. And we actually have a lot of strong AI for our characters. So you can give them different AI packages that control their actions, that allow them to do a lot of basic behaviors without you needing to intervene. And then you can pause and issue specific commands if you need. So we're kind of showing combat in several different areas. This is another one of the areas of the game called the Blade Grave. It's an area that we've shown a little bit about before, but one where Kairos, who's the overlord, issued a powerful edict on the land, which is like a massive spell that caused like a storm to rage through the area and destroy it. So it's a very extreme environment.
Yeah.
And back at Lethian's Crossing here, just showing another some more examples of this city.
I think that Pillars of Eternity had so much lore and quests and story. Wasn't it a hard choice to do it again all over? The new world, the new...
Yeah, definitely. So when we started, after the success of Pillars with a Kickstarter, this is the type of game that a lot of people at Obsidian love making. Like, I grew up playing these games. I unfortunately wasn't able to be on the Pillars team. I was working on the South Park Stick of Truth game.
Oh, you poor guy.
We've all left that game a little twisted, definitely. But then basically after the success of the Pillars Kickstarter, Paradox was interested in working on an RPG, and we had this idea around the studio that we started talking to them about, and the chance to do another of these games, like everyone at the studio was really excited about that, being able to keep working on this like classic role-playing experience that we've all like just been in love with for so long.
And you mentioned the choices you have in the game. Do you compare yourself to the BioWare games, and do you say, hey, do you say you're more focused on choices and consequences than BioWare and all the others, or is it more?
Yeah, I mean, really, I love a lot of the BioWare games. I love a lot of the CD Projekt games, RPGs. Like, we try not to like compare ourselves. We look at what they do well and try and see what can we steal, and if there's something that doesn't work as well for us, what can we improve on? Really, with Pillars, we were looking at. Pillars was a very long game. It was a very extensive story. You could easily sink 100 hours into that game. What I wanted to do for Tyranny is actually make a game that's a little bit shorter, something that you could complete in 20 to 25 hours of gameplay, something like in a couple of weekends you could finish the game. And then because of that, we wanted to make sure that there was a lot of opportunities in that game to come back to it and play it multiple times, which is why we chose to focus on like the major different paths through the game, in order to give players, every time they come back, they can pick a different faction to ally with and get a very different set of quest lines in the game. So,
but isn't it?
Do you take something over into the new game, like your character development? Do you take some experience points, outfits? I don't know what you have included.
So yeah, Tyranny is a completely separate world, a completely separate IP. So it's not.
No. I mean, like if you play it once and then you decide to play it a second time, do you transfer something of your achievements into the second playthrough?
We do have like achievements through Steam, like those unlock, so you can keep unlocking more of those through successive gameplays. But when you create a new character, it's a different experience. There's no like holdovers from other games.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought that you play one specific character.
You actually, during character creation, you make your own character each time.
Yeah.
Is it like Dragon Age Origins, where the characters have own histories, and these histories influence the consequences?
Oh yeah. So during character creation, like regardless of the character you make, you begin the game with a specific role in the world. You're what we call a fate binder. So basically, you're someone who is part of Kairos' empire, and your job is to bring law and judgment to the land. We call it like a type of Judge Dredd character. You get to bring, like, you're the judge, jury, and executioner of everyone you meet, and you get to decide who lives and who dies based on your whim. So you always have that role, but your character, when you're creating it, you can choose like what they look like, what their background is. Like, were you a former slave? Were you the son of a nobleman? Are you someone who was a soldier before you were recognized and brought up to the level of Fatebinder? So, and those different choices will affect how people react to you in the world, and also what dialogue options you have.
So you guys wrote a lot of dialogue.
Yes, there is a lot of text in the game. We are at over 800,000 words and growing right now for the text. No player is going to see that in a single playthrough because, again, that's across 4 different major quest lines. So you see a portion of that with any one playthrough of the game. But because there's so much choice, so much reactivity, there's a lot of text overall that you see in the game.
But isn't it a little bit frustrating that so many players won't see many areas and quests, and so you don't know what they will see when you make all these choices optional?
So one of the things we try to do is to give during character creation, you make a lot of choices at the beginning state of the world. So you'll see right there that you're making choices that shape the world. As you're traveling through the game, you'll have people will say things to you. We actually have like parts of text that are like highlighted, that are hyperlinks. When you mouse over them, they'll say like, oh, this person is reacting to you because you made this choice earlier on. So you can start seeing like, oh, this is how my choices are affecting and shaping the game. So you understand that, oh, there's a part of the game I'm not seeing because of this. And we want players, like, as they're like sharing their stories of the game with others, saying like, oh, I did this during this quest, and be like, oh, I never even saw that quest. It was like when I went there, it was a complete combat zone, and I killed these people and got this loot from them. It's like, oh, I had no idea you could get that loot by killing that guy. I'm gonna go back and try that again with a different way. Like, we want those player stories to help like tell each other how the game plays out and what the different options are, and hopefully that'll entice people to come back and try the game a different way and see a different part of the game.
Do you keep track of how people play the game so that you have some kind of statistics and you can see, okay, this is a preferred way of playing it, and this is something that people don't play at all?
Yeah, we do try to keep track of major decisions that players make, and we gather some metrics from playthroughs, and we use that to see like, if no one plays a certain path, we can then try and find out why. Like, we can find out, is it just that maybe there's a bug that something's not displaying, or it's just not being presented as a cool option for players. So we can maybe try and patch it in and fix some things later, or try and add more things to lead players towards the part of the content that they're maybe missing out on. Or if it's just things that people aren't interested in, as we're looking at possible expansions for DLC content, we know what to focus on and what not to focus on.
I think you should take the path that people like the least, and then you should make something crazy. Like, if nobody plays it, you know it because you have tracked it, and then if someone actually plays the path through to the end, then something happens. Like, there's an invasion of dragons and they burn everything down, and then the story ends at this point. It's just the dragons take over the world, something like that, that nobody really sees, but someone sees it, and then there's like, everybody wants to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. We want each of the different paths to have those moments where it's like you're only going to see this happen if you're playing on this quest line. That way there's certain things you're just never going to see unless you actually try the game with all the different ways through.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully people will start telling those stories and encourage other people to play through with making different choices.
I think in BioWare games, many choices influence the relationships to the companions.
Yes.
Is it here also?
Yeah, so you have several companions that can travel with you. Each of them has their own reputations with how they feel about the player, whether they are feeling loyalty or fear towards you. So different choices you make can drive the reputation along those two axes. And we have different abilities that we call combo abilities. So those are combat abilities that will allow your character and one of your companions to work together in combat to do a special move. And those unlock as you build reputation along those axes. So sometimes making a companion fear you is going to get you the ability you want versus trying to make them feel very loyal or friendly towards you.
Okay.
Yeah, I really do like these old games which, you know, like come from your own passion.
Yes.
That like you see that you liked to play these kind of games as you were younger,
Absolutely.
like us.
Yeah.
And now you're in the position to make your own game, and I think this is a huge privilege for you, but it's also the right mixture to get a real game, you know, a good game.
Yeah, definitely. This is the type of game that everyone on the team is very passionate about. It's something that at Obsidian as a studio, these are like a lot of the founders of Obsidian came from Black Isle and made the original like Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale style game. So this is part of our history, and we want to make sure that we are delivering what people want with these types of classic role-playing games. And again, like you said, it's been a privilege to be able to work on a game like this, and I hope I'm able to work on more in the future.
Obsidian has a past with Fallout.
Yes.
You know? And if you see the recent development from like Fallout New Vegas and to Fallout 4, what do you think about the aspects of role-playing? Do you think that Fallout 4 went into the right direction, or do you think that it should be more of a role-play game?
So I think definitely with Fallout 4, they went with, like, Bethesda made choices to make it a different style of role-playing game. Obviously, they're trying to make Fallout their own. They want it to be their game, their IP. I personally prefer like Fallout New Vegas more, but I'm Obsidian, so I'm biased on that.
Hey, but you're an honest guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are a lot of people out there who say the same, but you can say whatever you want. Nobody's here.
Well, obviously, the looking at the Tyranny type of game that I'm making, I am much more of an old school hardcore role playing gamer. I think definitely with Fallout 4, they were trying to make a game that had a broader appeal, that appealed to like a much larger audience. Like these types of games are fantastic and they're part of my childhood, but they're not going to sell 12 million units. So that's something that I'm sure Bethesda definitely took in mind when they were looking at how they wanted to make Fallout 4.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
So what's next for you guys? Does it depend on how successful this game is going to be, or do you have your next project already on your table?
So right now we're in the beta phase on Tyranny, so we're just bug fixing and balancing, trying to get the game finalized. So that's kind of what my focus is for the next month or so, trying to get that locked down. And then beyond that, we're talking with Paradox about possibly doing some DLC or expansion content. Beyond that, I have no idea. I've been on the game for about 2.5 years now, so I want it to go out there for people to be able to play and start finally seeing the reaction to everyone seeing this game that I've worked on.
What was the reaction like so far?
So far, we've been demoing the game here at Gamescom for the past couple of days, and so far everyone has been really excited about it. It's been really good seeing everybody. Like, we have people come in either who are diehard Pillars players or have never touched this type of game before, and sitting them down, giving them the mouse and keyboard and watching them play, and seeing some of them like just dive into the game and really engage. And we've had a few people where like we're trying to give them some guidance on like, oh, you might want to try to use this ability here, and they're like, no, I got this. It's like, okay, man, go for it. And some of them have like gone through and like completed the entire demo with little feedback. Some have crashed and burned, but we've been able to get them back on track. So it's been wonderful seeing them that's really engaged with the game.
Yeah.
So
I think at Rocket Beans there are two kinds of people: the ones that play this game and love this game because it's so deep and has so much lore and story, and the others say, "What's that? So much dialogue. It's so boring. It's so hard to look at." And it's I think it's very
divided.
Divided.
Yeah, I think definitely for a lot of us who grew up playing this type of game, there's an element of nostalgia just to the very style of game. And I think people who want something that's maybe closer to like a pen and paper role-playing experience, like something that has deep story, adventure, and action, like this type of game really helps like bring that idea to life. So I think definitely we appeal to that type of player, someone who's looking for a deep story, lots of interactions, and complex systems that you can either like delve into and really try to understand like all the mechanics behind the game, or you can just kind of superficially just play the game and not really worry about like how all the numbers are determined. And like these types of games give those players those different options. So
yeah. And I think it's very important because most studios do AAA or try at least to make titles that sell very well, and that's okay because it's a business and it's totally understandable that they try to do it. But I think it's important that there are also games which come, as I said earlier, from compassion. Like you do a game that you like. You do a game that you would like to play.
Absolutely.
You know, and this is something that we need. It's not for maybe it's not for a wide audience. Maybe it's not that you sell it, as a Fallout 4 or something like that. But it's important that there's a game like this for people who just love it. And I think it's not as important as for other games how many units you sell or what the critics say. It's important that the guys love it, who love it.
I think it's definitely so. Obsidian, obviously, we make these games because we love making them. Pillars was actually a very successful game for us. Like it obviously didn't sell like 12 million units, but it made a profit. It made a good profit actually. So, and we're hoping Tyranny will be able to do the same. Like the thing that I love about working at Obsidian is that we commit to these types of games. Like for Pillars, we raised a lot of money on Kickstarter, which was fantastic for us. But Obsidian put a lot of their own money into the title as well. And with Tyranny, we've done the same. Like even though it's being published by Paradox, we ended up putting a lot of our own money into the game as well because we believe in these types of experiences and we want them to be the best they can be for the players who get to see them.
Are there any other RPGs on the Gamescom you like or you prefer?
I have not seen any of the show, honestly.
Anything?
I've been stuck in a box demoing the game for the past several days. So, like, just on the walk here to the interview, I was like glancing around trying to see if I could see things as I'm walking by the halls, but I've unfortunately seen nothing of the show.
Yeah, that's part of the job.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've heard of another game called Torment, Tides of Numera.
Yes.
How I don't know exactly. How does it compare to you, or how are you connected to them?
Well, I'm one of the backers of Tormenera. Okay. So it's being developed by In Exile. So it's a lot of people, both former Black Isle people and some former Obsidian employees as well, who are working on it. And it's a game that I love the original Torment. So I want to. I haven't seen much about the game. Like I've been ignoring all of the backer updates they send out because I want to just experience the game fresh when it comes out. But I'm really looking forward to seeing it when it's available.
Okay.
Is there any kind of setting that you would like to do? Like we do, actually, we do a pen and paper show on our channel.
Yeah.
And we had our audience to vote which kind of setting they would like us to play for. They chose Vikings, but there was also like future kind of setting. You know, like 100 years from now, something like that. You know, there are different types. What is something that you would like to do? Because most of those role-play games, they do play like in a sword fight era.
Yeah. I think a lot of it, like fantasy is a very popular genre for a lot of people. So there's a big audience who likes fantasy games. I think the two that I think would be interesting to work on would be like a modern urban fantasy game where it's like a modern day but with magic added in.
Like Harry Potter, something like that.
Or something that's if I say White Wolf, everyone's going to think we're working on a vampire game. And we're not. That's not happening. But something along those lines would be interesting. The other type of game that I would love to work on is something that's like a 40s or 50s kind of noir RPG. Something like when Alpha Protocol, which is a game that Obsidian worked on, was first talked about at the studio. I heard like, oh, we're working on a spy RPG. My mind went to like kind of Cold War era spies, like meeting in back alleys and passing ciphers and codes. And like, I would love to make that kind of RPG where it's much more stylized, much more about trying to capture the feeling of an era as well as the mechanics of the game. So those are two things I've been talking about to see if like maybe there's any interest in Obsidian about making a game along those lines.
That's a great idea, actually. I do like that. You could do Cold War. Like you're a group of conspiracy guys, and you have like to put your information into a mailbox, and then you have to like at night sneak into the mailbox, and you know what I mean. You're a small group, and at enemy territory. So that would be interesting. Yeah,
something that's kind of a combination like Cold War area, maybe a little bit like Ocean's 11, like heist style stuff, combined with trying to get the right people in place to perform the job you need. Yeah.
That would be something different.
Yeah. So we'll see if there's any interest in that, but that'd be one I would love to make.
Yeah. Okay, good to know. Maybe you do a Kickstarter campaign again.
Maybe.
And we let the people decide.
Yes, exactly.
So are there any other gameplay features you didn't mention to us?
So one of I think you guys will be seeing this, you have an appointment later on today to see the game. One of the things that we've added for Tyranny is the ability for players to create their own spells. And we'll demo that for you guys later on today. And once that goes out from all the press after Gamescom, we'll do a larger dev update on the game showing more about how spell creation works.
So. Okay, thank you. You don't know when it will come out. You don't know any.
Right now,
date.
we're just saying 2016 until that's a firm date. Paradox doesn't want to give out anything specific. So,
Okay, 2016.
yeah.
All right, so that wraps it up.
Yes.
Does it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
So thank you very much
Thank you guys for having
for
me.
being here. Yeah, that was very very cool. I keep track. I will see. And you mention when it comes out. Okay, you do
2016.
write a mail.
Yes, we
And
will.
then you
Once
say, "Hey guys, remember me? The game's out."
One last
Absolutely.
question.
Yeah.
Co-op mode, yes or no?
no, it's a single player.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I miss the old Baldur's Gate and co-op.
yeah, just with adding multiplayer with times, we didn't have the time to be able to add it. So
Okay.
something we've definitely thought about, but yeah, just not something we have the bandwidth to do right now.
Okay. And thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. Thank you.
Good luck on your way on the Gamescom.
Thank
Further
you.
way. Ja, wir sind auch wieder raus. Jetzt geht's weiter mit, ich weiß gar nicht genau was, weil das haben wir jetzt voraufgezeichnet. Viel Spaß damit. Tschüss.
Tschüss.